Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Caitanya Charitamrita overview class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We are discussing the glories of Caitanya Charitamrita. And yesterday we saw wonderful things about this wonderful book written by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And the last thing which we discussed was, the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our only hope. Because as Bhagavatam describes this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is running behind the conditioned souls to rescue them from this forest of material enjoyment, which is on fire. Samsara dava nallida loka tranaya karunya ghana ghanatvam. So, this is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Kaviraj Goswami, he sometimes becomes very, very heavy. And he says that you have got a human form of life and you are not hearing Chaitanya Katha. पाइया मनुष्य जन्म जेना शुने गौर गुण हेन जन्म तार व्यर्थ होइला पाइया अमृत धुनि पिए विश्व गर्त पानी जन्मिया से केने नाही महिला. Very strongly Kaviraj Goswami saying, Are you have got a human form, पाइया मनुष्य जन्म, and you are not hearing the Gaur Leela, you are not hearing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Hena janma tara vyartha hoila, your life is waste. It is as if he's telling you have got an ocean, river of nectar. Amrita Dhuni. You have got a river of nectar and you are drinking poison from a ditch. Janmi ase kene nahi maila. Why did you take birth? You should have died long back. That's how Kaviraj Goswami is very, very strong about hearing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. That's the purpose of life. He says that the purpose of ears is to hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, the ears are like the broken conch shell. Krishnera madhuravani amritera tarangini tar pravesh nahi ye shravane kanakadi chidrasam jani hase shravan tar janma hoila akarane. Are your life is waste. Because you are not hearing the wonderful pastimes of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Your ears are like broken conch shell. Kanakadi chidrasam. It's like if in the conch shell there is a hole, you cannot blow the conch. It becomes useless. So therefore, if somebody is not hearing the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is useless. Tara janma hoila akarane. Your life is actually useless. Very strong. So therefore, the purpose of the tongue is to speak about Krishna, speak about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purpose of ear is to hear about them. Hear Krishna Lila, hear Gaur Lila. That is the purpose. Otherwise, as Bhagavatam says, our ears are like the holes where snake lives. Bile batoru krama vikramanye na shinvati karna pute narasya. It is like a hole where snake lives. The snake of all the materialistic gossip enters the ears. It is like a snake which can devour our material, our spiritual inclination. With all the poison of material talks can destroy our inclination to hear about the spiritual talks. So therefore, we should be very, very careful to hear about Krishna. And then he says another very beautiful verse. He says, if you are an intellectual, you want to use your intelligence and you want to hear something very philosophical, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes will satisfy all your intellectual abilities. Krishna Bhakti Siddhanta Gan Yate Prafulla Padmavan Tara Madhu Kari Aswadan Prema Rasa Kumudvane Prafullita Ratri Dine Tate Charao Mano Bringagan. Wonderful analogy is giving that your mind, make it like a bumblebee or honeybee. Just like a honeybee goes into a forest of beautiful lotus flowers, a lake full of lotus flowers. Use your mind, make it as a honeybee. Krishna Bhakti Siddhanta, the philosophy of Krishna Lila, the Chaitanya Lila, it is like a full-blown Yate Prafulla Padmavan, it is like a forest of flowers, lotus flowers. Tara Madhu Kari Aswadan, just absorb your mind in hearing these pastimes. Drink this nectar of Krishna Katha. Drink this nectar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Then one will be satisfied. If you want to use your intelligence to understand how merciful Lord Chaitanya is. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Karaha Vichar. Just think about the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Vichar korile chitte pave chamatkar. You will be astonished to see somebody as merciful as Lord Chaitanya. So therefore, drink this nectar. There is nothing equal to this nectar. All the talks of the world, they are insignificant in front of Krishna Lila, Chaitanya Lila. Ei amrit karapan yara samanahiyan chitte kari sudrida vishwas. Have faith. Chitte kari sudrida vishwas. Have firm faith in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Don't fall down in this deep, dark well of all the philosophies of the world. There is nothing greater than the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Become like a honeybee. Drink the nectar. Don't become like a fly. What is the difference between a fly and a honeybee? Even if there is a forest full of lotus flowers and beautiful fragrant flowers, a fly will find a piece of garbage in a corner and will sit on that. Honeybee, even if you put it in the midst of all the garbage, it will find a flower somewhere in the corner and sit on that. Don't become like a fly. So he's telling, Kaviraj Goswami is telling, become like a honeybee. Make your mind as honeybee. Ei amrit karapan yara sama nahiyan. There is nothing equal to this nectar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So therefore, what we have to do? Become like a honeybee, become like a swan. Krishna Lila Amritasar Tara Shata Shatadhar Dasha Dike Vahe Yaha Hoite. Say Chaitanya Lila Hoye Sarovar Akshay Manohamsa Chara Hatahate. So these pastimes of Krishna, they are like the rivers of nectar flowing in all 10 directions. And pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are like unlimited reservoir of nectar. Engage your mind in hearing the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Manoham charaha. Charaha means absorb your mind. The more we absorb our mind in hearing these pastimes, the more our propensity to hear all the other topics of the world will go down. The problem is we are not putting our heart in hearing these pastimes. That's why we are attracted to other pastimes. So therefore, become like a swan, become like a chakravak, only eager for drinking the nectar. So this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, they are like the very, very beautiful lake full of nectar. What we have to do? Go to this lake. Say sarovare giya hamsa chakra vakahaya sada taha karaha vilas. Engage your mind in hearing these pastimes. What will be the result? People in the world, they are suffering so much. Only way to come out of this suffering is to absorb the mind in hearing these pastimes. Khandibe sakal dukha paibe parama sukha anayase habe ullas. All your dukkha will be khandibe, destroyed. How this will happen? You may be thinking we are practicing since so many years, decades. Still problems are coming. Coming to spiritual life does not guarantee that problems will not come, but it guarantees our good and right responses. Miseries are compulsory, suffering is optional. Therefore, Kaviraj Goswami is saying, absorb your mind in hearing this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. That is the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And then he says, these pastimes of Krishna, they are like nectar. And the devotees of the Lord, they are like the clouds. The clouds are showering this nectar on this world. Ei amritanukshan sadhu mahanta meghagan vishwadhyane kori varishan. Vishwa Udyan, in this garden of this world, they are showering this nectar. Vishwadhyane kori varishan. And when the rains come, naturally, there is, plant grows and the forest and the tree grows and the tree is laden with the fruits. So when this shower of Chaitanya Leela is going on, there is a tree which is coming up. And that tree is laden with the fruit of nectar. Tate phale amrit phal bhakta khaye nirantar tara sheshe jiye jagajan. And the devotees, they are enjoying eating this nectar. Nigam kalpataror galitam phalam. It is like the nectar. It is like mango without seed, without pulp, without peel. Only pulp, pure unalloyed nectar. And devotees are enjoying, relishing. Tate phale amrit phal bhakta khaye nirantar. And when the stomach is full, and then what is natural response? Distribute. I cannot eat anymore. Tara sheshe jiye jagajan. And the entire world is getting benefited just by the remnants of the devotees. That is the wonderful nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. But if you don't hear, then what will happen? Kaviraj Goswami says that this is not an option. Okay, if we have time, we will hear. No, it is compulsory. Just like we have to eat food to maintain our physical body, we have to hear the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya to maintain our spiritual body. Yai lila amrit bine khaye yadi anna pane तबे भक्तेर दुर्बल जीवन. यार एक बिंदु पाने उत्फुल्लित तनु मने हासे गाए करो ए नर्तने. Very beautiful, very important verse Kaviraj Goswami is writing. That this Mahaprabhu's pastime, it is a food for all devotees. He's saying that Yai Leela Amrit, if somebody is not tasting this nectar of Mahaprabhu's pastimes and he's eating prasad properly, 3 बार खा रहा है प्रसाद. Yai Leela Amrit bine खाए यदि अन्न पाने, what will happen? तबे भक्तेर दुर्बल जीवन. Devotee will become weak spiritually, not physically. Jivan, the spiritual life, will become weak. But यार एक बिंदु पाने, if we taste this nectar, even a drop every day regularly, don't think, oh, I will read only if I'll get 1 hour. Whatever time you have, just open book, start reading. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and if you are getting more time, great. यार एक बिंदु पाने उत्फुल्लित तनु मन, you will be enlivened. You may not remember, but you will be nourished. Just like, if you are asked what you ate 2 days back in lunch, most of us will have to think kya khaya tha, kya khaya tha. But whatever we ate, it nourished us. So don't think I don't remember anything. No problem. Read, it will nourish our soul. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of this verse, 4-line purport. Prabhupada writes, all devotees connected with Krishna consciousness movement must read all the books that have been translated. In bracket he writes Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya Caritāmrta, Brahma Samhita, etc. Otherwise, the devotees will just eat, sleep, and fall down from their position, and they lose the chance to attain the eternal life in the spiritual world. So it is very, very essential for our health. It is not an option. It is a compulsory thing. We have to take out time. There is no lack of time actually. There is lack of desire. If we have desire, we will find time. If we have desire, Krishna will reciprocate and he will arrange time. He will tell, okay, now you have time. Use it. Read Harikatha, read Chaitanya Leela. But the problem is we don't desire enough. If we desire enough, for sure, it is not possible that Lord will not provide time. It may happen today or it may happen after a few years, but it will happen for sure. But that will happen if we show our eagerness. You have 5 minutes, read it. Open book. You have 10 minutes, read. Half an hour, whatever you have time, read the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And what is Chaitanya Charitāmrita? Chaitanya Charitāmrita gives us right type of aspirations. That is the glory of Chaitanya Charitāmrita. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, what were our aspirations? Dhanam Janam Sundarim. After coming, na word got added. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va jagadish kamaye. So Chaitanya Charitāmrita, through various examples of the devotees, tell us what should we aspire for. Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see the example of Dhruva. He was aspiring for a kingdom greater than his great grandfather Brahma. When he got darshan of Lord, he said, I was looking for broken pieces of glass and what I have got is diamond. So therefore, this Chaitanya Charitāmrita is a practical demonstration through various devotees. What should be the aspiration of a devotee? If we don't reform our desires, it is very, very difficult. That is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is to transform our desires, transform our aspirations. from the mundane to the spiritual. We have to be really careful because the mundane, advertisement industry and social media and all the world is just bombarding us with so many desires. If we don't, make us immune to all these bombardments, we'll be very easily influenced by that. Just like, now in the COVID times, everybody is, taking vaccine. Vaccine is what? Building our immunity so that we can fight, our body can fight with the infection. So to fight with the infection of material energy, we have to immune ourselves, make us immune by taking this vaccine of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. That will give us right aspirations. One more wonderful thing about Lord this Chaitanya Charitāmrita is actually this is the book which describes the highest tattva of Srimati Radharani. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami doesn't mention the name of Radharani, because it is said in Brahma Vaivarta Purana that Shukdev Goswami was so very absorbed that whenever he would hear and speak about Radharani, he would go into ecstasy. Shri Radha Nam Mantrena Murcha Sanmasiki Bhavet Nocharet Mata Sparshtam Parikshita Hit Krin Muni. Whenever Shukdev Goswami would speak Radha Nam Matrena Murcha Sanmasiki, 6 months he would go into ecstasy, he would be unconscious. So Shukdev Goswami was aware, Hare Parikshit has only 7 days. If I'll go into ecstasy, how he will be delivered? He didn't even take the name of Srimati Radharani. Just indirectly he took once Anaya Radhito Nunam Bhagavan Haririshwaraha. But in Chaitanya Charitāmrita, it's such a rare book where we can understand and see, read the tattva of Srimati Radharani in such great detail. In Adi Leela, in the 4th chapter, we'll see Kaviraj Goswami describes in detail what is this Radha tattva. The tendency is we don't want to understand the tattva. When Srila Prabhupada was there, devotees, they made a club, GBC. That is Gopi Bhava Club. Because they thought, oh, gopis, they are the highest devotees. We have to imitate these emotions of gopis and Radharani. But they didn't understand the tattva of Srimati Radharani. Who is Srimati Radharani? In this age where distractions are at the peak, Prayan Alpayusha Sabhya Kala Vasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Upadrita. This Upadrita is at its peak now. Disturbed, highly disturbed. Human civilization has, never seen such high levels of distraction. And with such distracted mindset, how can we understand the tattva of Srimati Radharani? Very, very difficult, So Kaviraj Goswami, by his mercy, he is telling, who is Srimati Radharani? Krishna, he appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, so very absorbed. Ei Gupta Bhava Sindhu Brahma Napai Eka Bindu. Even Brahmaji cannot understand a drop of it. And Mahaprabhu is giving this to everyone and anyone. That is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is the mercy of Kaviraj Goswami. That we who are so very unqualified, actually we are getting a glimpse of what it means to understand Srimati Radharani. Actually we cannot understand, but at least we can have some theoretical understanding. The more we get purified, the more we will actually understand Srimati Radharani. Even Krishna cannot understand the mood of Srimati Radharani. How can we understand? That's why he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the more we are humble, the more we can enter into the depths of the philosophy. Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva Sar, Bhava Tattva, Prema Tattva, Leela Tattva are. Kaviraj Goswami describes these 6 tattvas. Who is Krishna? What is Bhakti? Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Prema Tattva, Bhava Tattva, Rasa Tattva and Leela Tattva. All these things are described. Rasa Tattva, what is the rasa of Srimati Radharani? What is the rasa of all the devotees? So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami gives a hint. Radhikar hoye Krishnera pranaya vikar, Sarupa Shakti Ladini Nama Yahar. So Radhika, who is Srimati Radharani? She is the transformation of the love of Krishna. And that potency is called Ladini. Ladini karaye Krishne Ananda Swadan, Ladini Radware Kore Bhaktera Poshan. So Ladini potency, Srimati Radharani, has 2 roles to play. Ladini Karai Krishna Ananda Swadan, she makes Krishna happy and she nourishes the devotees. Ladini Radware Kore Bhaktera Poshan. Who is Srimati Radharani? So we have heard, we know from Shraddha to Prem. Actually, after Prem also there are various levels. Ladini Rasara Prema Prema Sara Bhav, Bhavera Paramakashtha Nama Mahabhav. So we have heard Bhav and Prem. After Prem also there are various stages. Sneha, Mana, Bhav, Mahabhav. So Ladini, the essence of Ladini is Prema. Essence of Prema is Bhava. That is beyond Prema. There is another Bhava. And sense of Bhav is Mahabhav. Who is Srimati Radharani? Mahabhava Swarupa Shri Radha Thakurani, Sarva Guna Khani Krishna Kanta Shiromani. The embodiment of Mahabhava is Srimati Radharani. She is the best of the lovers of Krishna. So that is just a glimpse of who is Srimati Radharani. And one more wonderful thing which we see in Caitanya Caritāmrta is we see such wonderful intricacies of Vaishnava dealings. In Bhagavatam, we hear the glories of Vaishnava association in great detail. And all the great devotees in Bhagavatam, either Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Chitraketu, Parikshit, whoever, you name it, everybody is asking one thing. Please give me association of devotees. Bhaktim moho pravahatam tvai me prasango bhuyadanant mahatam amalashayanam yenanjasolvanamuru vyasanam bhavabdhim neshe bhavadguna kathamritapanamattah. Dhruv Maharaj is praying. Bhakti muhu pravahatam toime prasango. Please give me association of your devotees, because in association I will very easily cross this ocean of material world. So all these examples are given that everybody is hankering for devotee association. What happens in devotee association? That is described in Caitanya Caritāmrta. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes actually who is a Vaishnava. And then he describes so many details. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes care of Sanatana Goswami, devotee care, how a devotee should be cared. Chaitanya Caritāmrta describes that, in devotee community, there is joy. There is fun. It's not just very serious Krishna Katha. Sometimes there is fun. Sometimes there is some serious discussion. It is described that when Sarvam Bhattacharya, he became devotee, he was like a very elderly person. So Gopinath Acharya, he was telling Mahaprabhu, oh, what you have done to this Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. He was a dry logician and you have transformed him. So one day, as if we go to some place where river is there, devotees, they like to enter and they play. So this is a natural, pastime of a devotee, of devotees. They like to have fun. Sarvabhauma khele sanga, Sarvabhauma sange khele Ramananda Rai, Gambhirya gela duhar hoila Shishuprai. And both of them, they are playing like kids. Shishuprai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw, he told Gopinath Acharya, please tell them to behave properly. They are grown up, they are elderly, and they are behaving like kids. Gopinath kohe tomar kripa mahasindhu, uchalit kori bare yar ek bindu. Mahaprabhu, Gopinath Acharya tells Mahaprabhu, it is all your mercy. By your mercy, they are behaving like this. Because this Sarvam Bhattacharya, a dry logician, Ramanandra, a very grave personality, and they are playing like kids. Meru Mandar Dubai Yatha Tatha, Eidui Ganda Shail Ihar Ki Katha. Your mercy can drown even Mandar and Meru. What to speak of these two people? They are like small pebbles. So that is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that we can see in this Chaitanya Caritāmrta, such wonderful dealings. We see in Chaitanya Caritāmrta, one time Shivananda Sen was taking all the devotees for yatra to Jagannath Puri, and Nityanand Prabhu, he didn't get proper accommodation. All this we can relate to. Bhagavatam pastimes, sometimes it seems, oh, they are all big people, pure devotee. We cannot sometimes relate also, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes we can relate with. Naturally it happens, yatra ja rahe hain, accommodation nahi mil raha hai. We are not finding our accommodation, kahan rehna hai. Nityanand Prabhu becomes angry. He hits Shivananda Sen on his chest. Shivananda Sen is happy. I am touched by Chaitanya Nityanand Prabhu. But another person becomes disturbed. Shrikant Sen, his nephew. And he becomes very upset and he says, what is this? My uncle is doing all the arrangements and Nityanand Prabhu is behaving in such a way. He goes in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He, generally it is a tradition that when you go in front of the Lord, you don't wear upper cloth. And that is still following in the South Indian temples. So he didn't remove the upper cloth and he was offering obeisances. Govinda, who was a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, Petangi gaye kore dandavat, Govinda kahe Shrikanta aage petangi utar. So Govinda, he says, Shrikant Sen, please remove your upper cloth. It is not proper etiquette. Mahaprabhu says, don't stop the Shrikant Sen. Prabhu kahe Shrikant asiya che payyama no dukh, kichuna baliha karuka yate ihara sukh. Don't say anything to him. That is how devotee should be sensitive. So all these dealings we see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is behaving in such a humble way, going to Raghunath Das Goswami asking, please give me that rice which you are eating. We see the humility of Rupa Goswami, we see the humility of Sanatana Goswami, we see the struggles of a sadhaka. We see the case of Krishna Das, how he was influenced by those Bhattahari women. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to run and save him. We see the apparent fall down of Chota Haridas. When Krishna Das, he came back with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu said, I don't want to see his face. Such a sad, distressing situation for Krishna Das. Or if God lives, what is the hope? But the hope is devotees. Nityananda Jagadananda Mukunda Damodar Chari Jane Yukti Tabe Korila Antar. Devotees started thinking how to bring this devotee close to Krishna. They are thinking Nityanand Prabhu, Jagadanand Pandit, Swarup Damodar Goswami, Nityanand Jagadanand Swarup Damodar. They are thinking. And they send Kalakrishna Das to serve Shachimata. All these things we see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. We see the angry nature of devotees. Many times devotees think devotees should be very peaceful, shant. We see the associates of the Lord becoming angry on the Lord. Jagdanand Pandit, he brought a scented oil, pot of scented oil for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I am a sannyasi. You want me to enjoy all this? People will ridicule me. Out of anger, Jagdanand Pandit broke that pot. So we see in our devotee community also, many devotees have different natures. Some are very angry, easily become angry. Some are very peaceful. All these are different moods of devotee. We see in this Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Generally, we don't see all these in Bhagavatam. That is the glory of Chaitanya Caritāmrta. We can relate with them. Such pastimes, wonderful pastimes, And one more thing, the most important thing which Chaitanya Charitamrita describes is the glories of Sankirtan movement. Bhagavad Gita just mentions Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Krishna says Satatam Kirtayanto. Bhagavatam also says Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. But we don't see anywhere in the Bhagavatam devotees doing Kirtan. One place, when Prahlad is teaching all the friends, he is doing Sankirtan. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, full of Sankirtan. When all the devotees, they came to Jagannath Puri and they are dancing and singing. Pratap Rudra Maharaj is telling to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Are, who are these devotees? What type of singing and dancing they are doing? I have never seen. Aiche prema, aiche nritya, aiche hari dhvani. Kaha nahi dekhi yar, kaha nahi shuni. I have never heard, I have never seen. Bhattacharya kohe madhura vachan chaitanya srishti prema sankirtan. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, O king, this is the creation of Lord Chaitanya. Prema Sankirtan. Avatari Chaitanya Koila Dharma Pracharan Kali Kale Dharma Krishna Nama Sankirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared for one purpose, to spread this Sankirtan. Sankirtan Yagya Tare Kole Aradhan Seita Sumedh Ar Koli Hatajan. So the glories of Sankirtan movement are described in Chaitanya Charitamrita in great detail. That is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is the mercy of Kaviraj Goswami that we are getting a chance to read these pastimes. One more thing Chaitanya Charitamrita teaches is right attitude. The attitude of humility. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. As Srila Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction, advancement of a devotee depends on the attitude of the follower. What is the right type of attitude? The attitude of humility. And the foremost of the disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rup Sanatan Goswami, they are showing by their personal example how humble one should be. When they go and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they tell, Nicha jati, nicha sangi, kori nicha kaj, tomar agrete Prabhu kahite vasilaj. Are, we are born in a low family, we are doing low work, associating with low class people, we are just ashamed to even stand in front of you. And then they tell, Oh my Lord, you have appeared to deliver the fallen people. There is no one more fallen than us. Patita pavana hetu tomar avatar. Amabai jagate patita nahiyar. No one more fallen than us. They say even Jagai Madhai have good qualities. Jagai Madhai hoite koti koti gun. Adhama patita papi ami duijan. They say Jagai Madhai has, they have thousands of good qualities. What type of good qualities Jagai Madhai had? You may say this is too much. This is mere exaggeration. No, Rup Sanatan Goswami, they are telling, no, Baba, they are actually having qualities. What qualities they have? Brahmana jati tar navadvipe ghar, niche seva nahi kare nahi niche rakhur par. Are first of all, they are Brahmanas. They have home in Navadvip. They never served malechas. They have only one fault. Na thoda sa paap kiya bas. They did some sinful activity bas. That's all. But oh my Lord, what is difficult for you? Just by chanting your name, they have become purified. Sabe ek doshatar hoye papachar, paparashi dahe nama bhasei tomar. Tomara naam laiya tomara korila nindan sei naam hoila tar mukti karan. Sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go and this Jagai Madhai, they would see Nimai Pandit going and they would, make fun of Nimai Pandit. Nimai, you are singing very good, drunk, and they are glorifying. That glorification became the cause of their deliverance. So that's how Chaitanya Charitamrita teaches how we should be humble. Even the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, we'll see in some time what is the mood of the author. He is himself feeling so humble, so fallen. He says, I am more fallen than the worm in a stool. Who is saying? Author of a PhD literature. Author of Chaitanya Charitamrita is saying, I am more fallen than a worm in a stool. On top of that, Chaitanya Charitamrita gives us the epitome of all the instructions, that is Sikshashtakam. Only 8 verses which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us. So that is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. What more is needed? These are the jewel of the verses written by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. That is mentioned in the Antya Leela. And one more thing which Chaitanya Charitamrita gives us is the mood of preaching. In Bhagavatam, we don't find much. Few cases, we see instructions. Narad Muni is telling Vyasdev, you preach this message. Brahmaji is telling Narad Muni, you preach this message. In the 2nd canto, it comes. But we don't see actually, so much of the preaching happening. We see in few places. Vidura comes and preaches to Dhritarashtra. Narad Muni comes and preaches to Prachina Barhi. Few instances are there, but Chaitanya Charitamrita, full of such instances, full of such pastimes. And Mahaprabhu is giving instructions to everyone. Bharat bhumite manushya janma hoila yaar, janma sarthak kori kar paropakar. Mahaprabhu tells Rup Sanatan Goswami, you go and preach. Tumi koriha bhakti shastrera prachar, mathuraya lupta tirthera koriha uddhar. Vrindavane Krishna seva Vaishnava achar, bhakti smriti shastra kori koriha prachar. So prachar is the mood of Lord Chaitanya. He preached to Sarvam Bhattacharya, he preached to Prakashananda Saraswati. Even he was preaching to Chandkazi, he transformed him also. Interfaith preaching also he was doing. He went to South India and he was preaching, Navadvipe Shakti na koila prakashe, से शक्ति प्रकाशी निस्तारिला दक्षिण देशे. Nistarila, he delivered the entire South India by preaching, by embracing people, by giving instructions, by dancing. You know, the mood of preaching is so much in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Kaviraj Goswami describes that, all the Panch Tattva, they have come with one purpose: to drown and inundate the entire world in this Krishna consciousness. जत जत प्रेम वृष्टि करे पंच जने तत 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 बाड़े जल व्यापे त्रिभुवने. So Panch Tattva, they are showering this prema varsha, they are doing. But Mahaprabhu saw that there are few people who are not taking advantage of this shower, this rain. Mayavadi karmanishta kutarkika gan nindaka pashandiyat paduya adham. So Mayavadis, atheists, fruitive workers, logicians, they were not taking advantage of this prema varsha. Mahaprabhu thought, I have come to deliver everyone and these people are running away. Sei sab mahadaksha hoya palaila sevanya tasabar chuite narila. Are they are running away from my mercy? Mahaprabhu thought, Are I have come to drown the entire world and these people are running away? Keha keha edaila pratigya hoila bhanga tasaba dubaite patiba kichuranga. My pratigya, my promise, my vow is to drown the entire world and these people are running away. I will devise a trick. What was that trick? Eta boli mane kichu kariya vichar sannyas ashrame prabhu koila angikar. He entered sannyas ashram just to preach. So this mode of preaching is ingrained in Chaitanya Caritāmrta, And then Mahaprabhu, he taught through his pastimes, through various devotees, that bhakti is not dependent on anything external. In Bhagavatam we hear that anyone who takes to bhakti is transcendental. He is qualified. All the external qualifications don't matter. Whoever you may be, even if you are born in a family of a dog eater, Yannamadheya Shravananu Kirtanad Yashravanat Pravanad Apikvachit Swadopi Sadya Shravanaya Kalpate Kutapunaste Bhagavannu Darshana. Even if somebody is born in a family of dog eaters, if he takes to bhakti, he'll be purified. Aho bat shwapacho ato garyan. Shwapacha means dog eater. Yad jihvagre vartate nama tubhyam. If he is chanting the names, he is qualified to become a guru. Whoever he may be, bhakti can purify that person. Kirata hunandra pulinda pulkasha abhir shumbha yavanakha sadaya. Yanya cha papa yadapa shraya shraya sudhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namah. All the lower castes, they can be purified by bhakti. So all this is given in Bhagavatam, but Chaitanya Charitāmrita gives practical examples, in action, transcendence of bhakti in action. So Mahaprabhu, he chose people from such low castes and made them, the acharyas of devotion. Sannyasi pandit gonera korite garvanash, neech shudra dwara kore dharmera prakash. Personally, Mahaprabhu, actually purposefully, Mahaprabhu, he engaged people from low castes to describe and establish the glories of bhakti. Neech shudra dwara kare dharmera prakash. हरिदास द्वारा नाम महात्म्य प्रकाश, सनातन द्वारा भक्ति सिद्धांत विलास, श्री रूप द्वारा ब्रजेर प्रेम रस लीला, की बुझिते पारे गंभीर चैतन्य रखेला. He made Haridas Thakur a person born in a Malecha family. He made him Namacharya. He made Sanatan Goswami the Acharya to describe the glories of bhakti. He made Rupa Goswami Acharya of Rasa. Sanatana Dwara Bhakti Siddhant Vilas, Shri Rupa Dwara Brajera Premaras Leela. And through Ramananda Rai, who was born in a Shudra family, he was a Kayast. Kayast means a Shudra. He showed the world that all these external designations don't matter. Bhakti is completely transcendental. That is what is described in Caitanya Caritāmrta. And then Kaviraj Goswami tells, anyone who is faithful, because in Caitanya Caritāmrita we hear so many pastimes which may look very difficult to accept. But Shraddha koriye lila kare shravan, achirate milaye tare Chaitanya charan. But if we have faith and if we hear these pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, achirate milaye tare Chaitanya charan, they will for sure very soon get the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya charita shunna shraddha bhakti kari, matsarya chhadiya mukhe bolo hari hari. Just hear the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith. Shraddha bhakti kari. Give up all envy and hear. Because whoever hears this pastime with faith, he will get love of God. That's the treasure which he will get. By premadhan, Shraddha kariye katha shune jane, prema bhakti paye se Chaitanya charane. He will get prema bhakti unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, if you are not faithful, you are lost. And Kaviraj Goswami is very, very strong. As Bhagavad Gita says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Whoever is faithful, he gets knowledge. And who is faithless, agyascha ashraddhanascha samshayatma vinashyati. Faithless, ignorant and doubting soul is lost. So Kaviraj Goswami says, if you are not faithful, if you are non-believer of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, you know what will happen to you? Alaukik leelar prabhur alaukik riti, shuniloy bhagyahinera na hoye pratiti. Those who are bhagyahin, only an unfortunate will not hear the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagyahinera na hoye pratiti. Only an unfortunate soul will not hear about Lord Chaitanya. Because from beginning to end, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are transcendental. Adyopanta Chaitanya Lila Alaukika Jan, Shraddha Kari Shunna Iha Satya Kariman. Accept the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya as truth, have faith. But if you don't understand and if you don't accept, you know what will happen? Ei sab na mane, ei kare Krishna bhakti. And you are making a show that I am a devotee of Krishna. You are a devotee of Krishna and you are not having faith in Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Ei sab na mane ya be kare Krishna bhakti, Krishna kripa nahi taragati. He will not attain Krishna. He will not get mercy of Krishna. That is very clearly described by Kaviraj Goswami. Krishna Kripa nahi tar gati. He will never attain the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. He will never attain the lotus feet of Krishna. He gives an example also. He says, in the past, Jarasandha was there. He was worshipping Vishnu. But he was following Vedic rituals. He was worshipping Vishnu. But for what? He was worshipping Vishnu for doing wrong things. Therefore, he was lost. He was destroyed. Krishna nahi mane tare daitya kari jani. Chaitanya na mane taiche daitya kare mani. Very strong. He says, just like a person who does not accept Krishna, he is a demon, because Jarasandha, he worshipped Vishnu, he didn't accept Krishna. He is a demon. Krishna nahi mane ei daitya kare mani. Chaitanya na mane sei daitya kare jani. Whoever does not accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is also a demon. So that is the fate of a non-believer. So this is the wonderful glory of Chaitanya Caritāmrta. Now in some time we'll see about the author of Chaitanya Caritāmrta. It is equally important to understand what is the mood of the author, what is the mood of Chaitanya Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami behind writing this Chaitanya Caritāmrta, why he wrote Chaitanya Caritāmrta, because as you can see in the slide, so many biographies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were already existing. Murari Gupta, Sarup Damodar Goswami, Govinda Das, and Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat, Lochan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Mangal. They were already existing. There are more than 20 commentaries and biographies of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What was the need of Kaviraj Goswami to write another literature when already there was such wonderful compilation by Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat, very elaborately describing? Kavi Karnapur has written so many of the books. Gaur Ganodesh Deepika, Krishna Chaitanya Charit Mahakavya, so many books he has written. Krishna Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. What was the need of Kaviraj Goswami to write another book? And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has written a book, Sri Chaitanya Charanamrit Bhashya. And also there is a book which is mentioned in Atharva Veda, Chaitanya Upanishad. This book mentions the various verses which can prove that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Lord. Many times people question where it is mentioned. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wrote a commentary on Chaitanya Upanishad by the name Amrit Pravaha Bhashya. Then he has written a book called Anubhashya, which is commentary on Chaitanya Caritāmrta by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Then there is a commentary by Srila Prabhupada in English. So why Chaitanya Caritāmrta is considered such a most important and authoritative literature? Because who is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami? Why he wrote this book? We should know this. So in his book called Prarthana, Narottam Das Thakur is telling, Krishna Das Kaviraj Rasik Bhakta Maj Jera Chile Chaitanya Charita Gaur Govinda Lila Shunile Golaye Shila Nadubile Tahe Mora Chitta. Who is Krishnadas Kaviraj? He is a Rasik Bhakta. He knows the mellows of loving relationship between Radha and Krishna. And he has written this Chaitanya Caritāmrta. But out of his humility, Narottam Das Thakur is saying, I am so unfortunate. I don't have attraction for the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Who is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami? We'll see some of the history. So he was born in around 1520 or 1528 or 1530 in a village called Jhamatpura. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world in 1534. Kaviraj Goswami was born in 1530. Then Rup Sanatana Goswami, they came to Vrindavan in 1515. So Kaviraj Goswami, he was born in a family of physicians. And when he was very young, when he was just 6 years old, his father died. He had a brother. And, this brother, Kaviraj Goswami himself mentions in Adi Lila that, my brother, he had firm faith in Lord Chaitanya, but his faith was not so strong in Lord Nityananda. So one time, a devotee of Lord Nityananda, Ramdas Vipra, he came, Sri Ramdas, he came, and when he saw that my brother, he is not showing faith for Nityanand Prabhu, he became very unhappy and he left. So this Kaviraj Goswami, when he saw that my brother is not respecting Nityanand Prabhu, he chastised his brother. And that night, Nityanand Prabhu came in the dream of Kaviraj Goswami. And Kaviraj Goswami describes the beauty of Lord Nityananda. He was dressed in bluish garment. He was looking very beautiful like Cupid. He had, he was wearing beautiful garland. He was having bracelets and anklets. He was having a beautiful turban on his head. Very beautiful lotus-like face. He was having a stick in his hand, and he was looking like a Cupid. And he was dancing like a mad elephant. And in this way, this Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami saw Lord Nityananda in his dream with his stick, with all his associates, as you can see in this slide. This is the dream of Kaviraj Goswami. So when Kaviraj Goswami saw this dream, he was completely overwhelmed. Nityanand Prabhu, when he saw this situation of Kaviraj, he said, "Oh my dear devotee, oh my dear Krishnadas, do not be afraid. Go to Vrindavan. There all your desires will be fulfilled. Are Krishnadas na karo bhay, Vrindavan yah tar sarva labhya hoy." Don't be fearful, O Krishnadas. Go to Vrindavan. There all your desires will be fulfilled. And saying this, Nityanand Prabhu disappeared. So Kaviraj Goswami got up of the dream and he at once proceeded and came to Vrindavan. So Kaviraj Goswami says that by the mercy of Lord Nityananda Balram, I achieved Vrindavan. By mercy of Lord Nityananda Balram, I achieved the shelter of lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, because from Raghunath Das Goswami he heard Chaitanya Caritāmrta. And therefore I have written this Chaitanya Caritāmrta. Kaviraj Goswami writes, when this book was completed, the exact date is also mentioned in Chaitanya Caritāmrta. Shake in Sindhu Agni Vanendu Jeshte Vrindavanantare Suryahe Sita Panchamyam Granthoyam Purnatam Gataha. Poetically, Kaviraj Goswami is telling when this book was completed. Shaka, in the Shakabda era, and there are two types of calendar, Shakabda and Gaurabda, and there is the English calendar. So Shakabda, in the Shakabda era, Sindhu Agni Vanendu. So this is what? Sindhu Agni Vanendu, that is 1537. How it has come to this? So he says Indu means moon. Indu is moon, one moon. And Vana. Vana means arrow. Arrow of Kamadev. So Kamadev has 5 arrows. 1 and 5. Agni. There are 3 types of fire. So 3. And Sindhu, there are 7 oceans. So 7. So that is a poetic way of writing a number. 1537. So in Vrindavan, in the year 1537 Shakabda era, in Jyeshtha month, May or June, on the Suryamahe Sunday, so this book was completed. So that is the date of completion of this book. Another question comes up: why Kaviraj Goswami wrote this book in spite of Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Mangal? So Kaviraj Goswami himself write that in Chaitanya Caritāmrta. Why he has written this book in spite of Chaitanya Mangal? So actually, this Chaitanya Mangal, so Chaitanya Bhagavat, it was earlier called as Chaitanya Mangal. Sorry, this Chaitanya, Chaitanya Mangal. But Lochan Das Thakur also wrote a book by the name Chaitanya Mangal. So therefore, the devotees, they changed the name of the book of Vrindavan Das Thakur from Chaitanya Mangal to Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Chaitanya Mangal and Chaitanya Bhagavat, they are same, written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. So Kaviraj Goswami writes in Adi Leela 8th chapter, Purve Kahilu Adi Leela Rasutragan Yaha Vistariya Chena Dasa Vrindavan. He says, you know, the earlier Adi Leela pastimes, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, Kaviraj Goswami has written all this in short. All the childhood pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are described in very brief in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why? Because Kaviraj Goswami does not want to transgress the etiquettes. He's telling, I will write only in brief because Yaha Vistariya Chena Dasa Vrindavan. Das Vrindavan has described in great detail. Vrindavan Dasa Koila Chaitanya Mangal Taha Te Chaitanya Leela Varnila Sakal. Vrindavan Das Thakur has explained Chaitanya Leela in great detail. But you know what happened? Because the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, they are like ocean, unlimited. Chaitanya Chandrera Leela Ananta Apar Varnite Varnite Grantha Hoila Vistar. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, as he was writing, he understood, the book has become voluminous. And then he started writing about Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Leela Varnale Hoila Avesh Chaitanya Rashesha Leela Rahila Avashesh. And he got so absorbed in writing the pastimes of Lord Nityananda that he could not complete the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. But you know, the devotees of Vrindavan, they were eager. Sei sab Leela Shunite Bivaran Vrindavana Vasi Bhaktera Utkantitaman. So devotees of Vrindavan, they wanted to hear those pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu which are not described in Chaitanya Mangal. So therefore in Vrindavan, Govindadev temple is there. There's such wonderful service was going on. And all these devotees, who were serving Govindaji, the head of the Govindaji temple was Haridas. Sevara Adhyaksha Shri Pandita Haridas Yarayasha Guneta Sarva Jagate Prakash. He was such a great devotee, always absorbed in glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. He was completely absorbed. He had no faults. All the 50 qualities of a devotee was present in this devotee, Haridas. He gave me order. So Kaviraj Goswami is telling this Haridas, Pandit Haridas, he gave me order. Teho ati kripa kori agya koila more gaurangera shesha lila varni bar tare. He gave me order. Agya. Please describe the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Shesha Leela, whatever is not described by Vrindavan Das Thakur, please describe. And he says that all the devotees of Vrindavan, they were so very happy because everybody wanted to hear about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So therefore, Because all these devotees, they have ordered me, that's why I'm writing. Otherwise, who am I? I am so very fallen. Just because I have received the Agya of the Vaishnavas, that's why I'm writing. I have received not only just the Agya of the Vaishnavas, I have received the Agya of Madan Mohan. यही ग्रंथ लिखा है मोरे मदन मोहन हमारा लिखन यही शुकेरा पठन. Because when Kaviraj Goswami, he got the order from all the Vaishnavas, he went to Govinda Dev temple. He was offering respects to Govinda Dev, and a garland fell from the neck of Govinda Dev temple. Sorry, Madan Mohan temple. He went to Madan Mohan temple. So the garland fell from Madan Mohan. All the devotees, they were so very happy, and they rejoiced. Jai Jai, Hari Bol. So the priest of Madan Mohan brought this garland and placed it around the neck of Kaviraj Goswami. Agya mala payamar hoila ananda tahai karinu ei granthera arambha. So when I got the Agya mala, wonderful words, Agya mala, the garland of instructions, then I started writing. So therefore, who is making me write? Ei granth lekhaye more Madan Mohan amara likhan ei shukera pathan. Are Madan Mohan is writing. I am just a parrot. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he would tell, I have not written these books. Krishna has written these books. Prabhupada writes, this should be the attitude of all devotees. I am not doing anything. I am just a parrot. Nachao, nachao, Prabhu, nachao se mate. Kashthera putli ase nachao se mate. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance, oh my Lord. Nachao se mate. So therefore, he's telling, I am a Kashthera putli. Sei likhi Madan Gopal e likhaye. Kashthera putli e na kuhake nachay. I am just a doll, wooden doll, puppet in the hands of Madan Mohan. Whatever he's making me write, I'm writing it. So therefore, it is all mercy of Madan Mohan. It is all instruction of the devotees. Because who am I? Actually, Caitanya Leelate Vyasa Dasa Vrindavan. Because actual Vyas of, just like Vyasadev is the author of Bhagavatam, Vrindavan Das is the author of Caitanya Caritāmrta. So I am just a puppet. Actually, I got instructions from Vrindavan Das Thakur also. So Kaviraj Goswami, he took instructions and blessings from Vrindavan Das Thakur also. Vrindavan Dasera Padma Kari Dhyan Tar Agya Laya Likhi Yaha Te Kalyan. Tar Agya. He took instructions and blessings from Vrindavan Das Thakur also. Then only he is writing this. And who is the author who will describe another author in his book? So Kaviraj Goswami is telling, Are, you are a fool, you don't read this book. You read the book written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Who is the author who will do that? Vrinda ode mudha lokashuna Caitanya Mangal. Caitanyera Mahima Yate Jani Be Sakal. Oh, foolish people, read Caitanya Mangal. Because you will know the essence of Mahaprabhu's pastimes when you read Caitanya Mangal. Krishna Leela te Vyas kahe Ved Vyas. Krishna Leela Bhagavate kahe Ved Vyas. Caitanya Leela ra Vyas Vrindavana Das. Vrindavana Das is the Vyas of all the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is this Chaitanya Mangal? Vrindavana Das Koila Chaitanya Mangal Yahate Shravane Nashe Sarva Amangal. Anyone who hears Chaitanya Mangal, all the inauspiciousness will be destroyed. Anyone who wants to hear and understand the pastimes and the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, read Chaitanya Mangal. So Again and again, Kaviraj Goswami is describing, telling, please read Vrindavan Das's Chaitanya Mangal. Who is the author who will do that? Nobody will do that. You know, that is the humility of Kaviraj Goswami. He says, actually, it is not, a capacity of a human to write a book like Chaitanya Mangal. मनुष्य रचिते नारे ऐच्छे ग्रंथ धन्य वृंदावन दास मुखे वक्ता श्री चैतन्य. Actually, who is speaking? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking through the mouth of Vrindavan Das. Prabhupada writes, this is a secret in devotees' writing. Whenever a devotee does something, Lord helps him personally. And that's how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is also the same. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu helped him, instructed him. That's why he wrote, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would tell, the day will come when people from the Western worlds, they will learn Bengali to read Chaitanya Caritāmrta. And it has come true. Many devotees from the West, they are now reading Chaitanya Caritāmrta. Vrindavana Dasa Pade Koti Namaskar, Aiche Grantha Karite Ho Tarila Samsar. He offers his obeisances to Vrindavan Das Thakur. He has delivered the entire world by writing this literature. And then he says, who am I to write this literature? Murkha, Neech, Shudra, Ami, Vishaya, Lalas. I am foolish, I am fallen, I am Shudra, insignificant. Vaishnavera Agya Bole Kore Tekasas. Why I am writing? Because on the strength of Vaishnava Agya. Otherwise, I am who am I? I am insignificant. Chaitanya Lila Ratnasar Swarupera Bhandar Teho Thuila Raghunathera Kanthe Taha Kichue Shinilu Taha Iha Vistarilu Bhakta Gana Dilu Ei Bhete. He's expressing his humility, saying, Chaitanya Lila, it was the treasure of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Swarupera Bhandar. And from Swarup Damodar Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami heard all those pastimes. Teho Thuila Raghunath Thera Kanthe. And when Raghunath Das Goswami came to Vrindavan, Kaviraj Goswami heard all the pastimes from Raghunath Das Goswami. Taha kichue shinilu, taha iha vistarilu. Thoda kuch suna? I am explaining that. Who am I? I am not qualified. Because people will not understand the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Kahi bar katha na hai, kahile keha na bujhaye, aiche chitra chaitanyera range. Nobody will understand even if you speak such pastimes. First of all, to speak is difficult. Even if you speak, people will not understand. But still I am writing. Some people, they say, you have written such a book full of all the shlokas. Sanskrit, you have put so many shlokas. Yadi keha na koe grantha koila shlokamaye itar jana nari bebujhite. He says, or if people say so many verses you have put in Sanskrit, how will people understand? He's saying, what is my fault? Arey, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has performed all these pastimes. I'm writing. He says, Bhagavatam is completely in Sanskrit. The commentaries of Bhagavatam is also in Sanskrit. Still people are understanding. Why people will not understand my book? It seems there may be some people who were telling Kaviraj Goswami, अरे बाबा इतना सारा संस्कृत लिख दिया है, कैसे समझेंगे? सारे भागवत श्लोकमय टीका तार संस्कृत होए तबु कैछे बुझे त्रिभुवन. यह श्लोक दुई चारी तारा व्याख्या भाषा करी कैछे ना बुझिबे सर्वजन. अरे how will people not understand? And then he says, even if you don't understand, keep on reading. Keep on reading again and again. ये बाना ही बूझे केह सुनीते सुनीते सेह कि अद्भुत चैतन्य चरित कृष्ण उपजी बे प्रीति जानी बे रसेर रीति सुनीले बड़ा होए हित. Even if you don't understand, keep on reading again and again. You will understand Krishna Tattva. And therefore, you know what I am doing? I have just described whatever is not described by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Actually, I am an old man. I may die anytime. That's why I'm writing everything in synopsis. That's why in Madhya Leela, in the beginning, if you see, we'll discuss, Kaviraj Goswami writes the Antya Leela pastimes in synopsis in the Madhya Leela because he thinks, Arey, I'm an old man, I may die anytime. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he also thought that I will not live, I may not live to write whole Bhagavatam. So he gave 10th canto separately as Krishna book. शेष लीलार सूत्रगण कैलु किच्छु विवरण इहा विस्तारित चित्त है थाके यदि आयुशेष विस्तारी व लीला शेष यदि महाप्रभुर कृपा होए. Very beautifully he is explaining his heart. He says, I have described everything in synopsis now only because I don't know when I may die. If I will live, थाके यदि आयु शेष आयु बचेगा विस्तार से सुनाएंगे विस्तारी वो लीला शेष महाप्रभु कृपा होगी तो I will describe in great detail because I am who am I am an old man, my hands are trembling, I am not able to see anything, I cannot hear anything, still I am writing. It is such astonishing. आमी वृद्ध जरातुर लिखिते का पय कर मने किच्छु श्रवणे न होय स्मरणे न होय ना देखिए नयने ना सुनिए श्रवणे तबु लिखी ए बड़ा विस्मय. It is so very astonishing that I am writing although I am not able to see anything, not able to hear anything, I don't remember anything. So Kaviraj Goswami is writing this book at the age of 94 and he is telling कुछ याद नहीं है. अरे याद नहीं है तो इतना लिख दिए, you know. So that is the humility of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kaviraj Goswami. He's saying, I have described everything in synopsis. If I live, I will describe in detail. संक्षेपे सूत्र कोइला एई इहा ना लिखिला आगे ताहा करी भविस्तार यदि तत दिन जिए महाप्रभु कृपा होए इच्छा भरी करी भविचार. Humbly he is begging, I want to describe. संक्षेप में लिख रहा हूं all the Anta Leela. If I will live, I will describe in great detail. आगे तहा करी भविस्तार. You know, यदि तत् अगर इतने दिन जीऊंगा विस्तार महाप्रभु कृपा होगी तो I will live. Then I will write in detail. And therefore, out of his humility, he is saying, छोटा बड़ा भक्तगण बंदो सभा श्री चरण सबे मोर कर हसंतोष श्री रूप गोसाई मत रूप रघुनाथ जानियत ताई लिखी नहीं मोर दोष. He is offering, asking blessings from each and every devotee. छोटा बड़ा भक्तगण, every devotee, please bless me. बंदो सभा श्री चरण. That is the mood of author. So that is the mood the author wants us to cultivate. Whoever you may be, however big you may be, छोटा बड़ा भक्तगण बंदो सभा श्री चरण, please give me your blessings. Otherwise I cannot write. Only by the blessings of devotees I can write. You know. So therefore, just because I have got the instructions, Payayar Agyadhan Brajera Vaishnavagan Bando Tara Mukhya Haridas Caitanya Vilas Sindhu Kallo Lera Ekabindu Tara Kona Kahe Krishnadas. I have got the Agya Dhan. This instruction is a treasure for me. What is that instruction? This instruction I have received from all the Brajavasis. Brajera Vaishnavagan. Foremost of all the Brajavasis is Haridas. Bandotara Mukhya Haridas. And you know what I am doing? The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, they are like the ocean. Caitanya Vilas is like an ocean. And I am just writing a particle of the drop of this ocean. That is the mood of Kaviraj Goswami while writing. Such humble, such humility he is showing throughout the literature. And that's what we are supposed to cultivate. Trinadapi Suni Chena, which is the crux of spiritual life. You know. So therefore he is telling, I am writing just by the order of all the devotees of Vrindavan. I am just a puppet. Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, because I may die anytime. So this is the mood of Kaviraj Goswami. So some of the technical details of Chaitanya Caritāmrta. So in this book Chaitanya Caritāmrta, Kaviraj Goswami has quoted more than 90 different sources. And the most quoted is Srimad Bhagavatam. 404 times he has quoted Srimad Bhagavatam. So this entire book consisting of Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, Anta Lila, it has 62 chapters, 11,555 verses. Out of those, 97 Sanskrit shlokas they are composed by author himself, and the remaining 933 Sanskrit verses, they were quoted from different sources. And the remaining 10,525 Bengali verses, they were of course composed by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So these are the glories of Chaitanya Caritāmrta. Thank you for the patient listening. So we'll stop here. From the next week onwards, we'll begin Adi Lila, first chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Caritāmrta ki jai. So we'll not take any questions. We'll stop here. Thank you very much.